We handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season, featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard. All team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All that the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid with you on this Friday night. Kevin Walsh here live from the Decisions desk. A busy one throughout the sports landscape. You have postseason baseball with a spot in the championship series on the line. The Mariners and the Tigers, the winner, will head to Toronto to play the Blue Jays. I believe that will begin on Monday. Or maybe that'll begin Sunday, in fact. That'll begin Sunday. Blue Jays against the winner of Tigers-Mariners. The winner is, at least via the books, supposed to be Detroit. Tariq Skubal, the soon-to-be two-time consecutive current AL Cy Young, is going for the Tigers. He's pitched at least 7 innings in each of his first 2 starts. A win in his opening start. Didn't take the loss, but they did not win his second start, which did come in this series against the Mariners. Excited for this one. This game will actually feature my best bet here on this Friday night, so we will get to that in just a little bit. We did see some postseason action yesterday in the National League. One series marches on. Another series comes to a close. On Saturday, you will go back to Milwaukee for Cubs-Brewers, the number 1 seed, not just in the AL, but across the baseball postseason. The Brewers will have home field advantage against any team they were to possibly meet. They'll need that home field advantage to hold true. It's been home team throughout this series in Cubs-Brewers. Not the case in the matchup between the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies. The story of that one, the road teams were consistently ending up the victor. It felt like we may see it again, but a tight baseball game was just getting tighter and tighter as it was heading into extra innings. And in the bottom of the 11th, a tough play for the pitcher is thrown away, and heartbreak again and again and again, hitting the city of Philadelphia on a Thursday night. The Dodgers eliminate the Phillies, and their status as World Series favorites just grows larger, plus 105. I think it is on the board. We see the Dodgers flip to a minus price without even playing the first game of the CS. For the Dodgers, if the Cubs upset the Brewers, they take home field advantage into the CS. I think we could see the Dodgers at a minus price to just win the whole thing before anything even happens in that series. It gives you an idea just how strongly the books right now perceive the defending champion Dodgers. And again, rightfully so. We mentioned heartbreak in Philadelphia. I don't know if it was heartbreak as much as anger, frustration. Once again, the one-half only Eagles showed up. First half, the offense clicking, rolling, 17 points. They lose to the New York Giants as 7.5-point favorites, 34-17. For the G-Men, a great game for their rookies. Jackson Dart throws one, runs in another. Cam Scatterbo with 3 rushing touchdowns in the game. The Giants are saving their season. They have rookies that feel very in the mix when we talk offensive rookie of the year. Jackson Dart gaining on Emeka Egbuka. Just the bump of being the quarterback right now is absolutely the direction that is trending. The story for many in Philadelphia, what is wrong with this football team? How far should they be dropping in odds boards? They are now double the number of the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. When you talk about Super Bowl prices in the conference, they've been jumped by not one, but 2 teams in the NFC from the NFC North, and the Lions and the Green Bay Packers. And for Philadelphia, some of that movement is justifiable. The questions become, how do they correct it? And that is something that we will talk about here on a Friday night. Who deserves the blame? Who can we point to and say, you're not getting it done? And are we seeing right now everyone point in the correct places? A legitimate question. We will talk your Sunday slate as well on a Friday. Injury news, moving lines, some quarterbacks confirmed out. Lamar Jackson out. Brock Purdy out. Brock Purdy, here's the thing with the Purdy absences. I know they paid him a lot of money. And the Bucs have a lot of injuries on the other side. Godwin's going to miss this game. Mike Evans is going to miss this game. Bucky Irving is going to miss this football game. If the Niners win again, and they're now 3.5-point dogs, you are barreling towards a weird position with Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. You just are. So the more games missed by Purdy that are married with Mac Jones victories creates more awkwardness potentially in the Bay. We will go through all of these things here. We will also talk a little college football on this Friday night. Head coach Terry Bowden will join the show, give his outlooks for not just some action tonight, but some action for tomorrow. What an outrageous Saturday we have. Begins at noon in the SEC, Missouri and Alabama in a top 15 matchup. Bama a favorite, but a number that has trickled down a little bit throughout the week. You have Illinois and Ohio State going as well at that noon window. A top 20 matchup with the number 1 team in the country. The Buckeyes are laying over 2 touchdowns on the road. Top 10 tilt, Oregon, Indiana. The Red River rivalry. Will John Mateer play? The questions are copious. We will try and answer them for you as much as we can. You do get a little top 25 taste here on a Friday night. That's North Texas, South Florida. Look, why not? We'll put it on the board here. I played under this game. You can get a 68.5 in the market, minus 115. I've been leaning under throughout the day. This number just keeps on ticking up. This is South Florida group, let's remember, who found themselves ranked and made their hay via the defense, the defensive performances against Boise and against Florida. And I think that's being a little too dismissed here. I think both teams will be running the football a tick more efficiently than they're throwing the football, which is going to make it, I think, hard to get through a monster total on the Friday night. There's Big Ten action out in Washington as they host Rutgers, laying double digits. Colorado State is a home dog, just under a touchdown against Fresno State in a little Mountain West action. You do not have tonight any NHL action after the league opens up on a Tuesday, off on a Friday, back at it for a pretty lengthy, sweeping Saturday card. What you do have tonight is the resumption of the WNBA Finals. When I first saw Vegas booked as a road favorite in game number 4, I thought it was the product of the books moving from game 1 to game 2, all of these finishing in Vegas wins. I think it's just what I had missed is that Satu Sabri picked up an injury in the end of that game against the Aces and is out for this basketball game. Vegas, with their dominance, has now flipped to a 2.5-point favorite on the cusp of another championship. Aja Wilson on the cusp of another Finals MVP. A reminder that in the prior years on the formats, this series, though, would already be over. Best of 5s are now best of 7. This series could potentially go back to Vegas for a Game 5 tonight if the Mercury pull off an upset. We'll talk about their chances to do just that. But we get into your Major League Baseball board a little bit more and everything else heading into a big-time weekend with the help of Tom Vecchio. After a break, we're with you right here, live on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I can tell you right now, Jamar Chase is getting moved on a lot of teams. And I understand why. I mean, you don't have Joe Burrow coming back this year. It's just not happening. And then Jake Browning has been less than impressive. There's no doubt about that. So Jamar Chase is still an extraordinary talent, and I think buying him low is interesting. Why? Because if you do look, the schedule does get a little bit easier. The defense is still bad. Jake Browning has been productive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're O'Connell, you have a serious decision to make. Like, what is, again, he's been hurt now in back-to-back years, McCarthy.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have.
100%.
This is a similar situation to what the Niners did with Trey Lance. Like, if the guy can't stay on the field, and again, the limited, you have to do what's best for the organization.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's start in the Atlantic, where the New York Knicks are minus 250 favorites to win the Atlantic Division. Philadelphia 76ers are plus 490, Boston 8-1, Toronto 13-1, Brooklyn 25-1, and it could be 250,000-1. They're not winning the division.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, with you right here, Game Time Decisions, live on a Friday night. We're joined now by Tom Vecchio, does a great job helping us out here on the SportsGrid Network, breaking down a number of sports. We're going to start in the baseball, though, Tom, where we have the Mariners and the Tigers. Tariq Skubal, a guy that you and I actually, I think, spent a lot of time talking about this season. You found a way to, I think, push me into like a Kevin doesn't believe in Tariq Skubal guy, which is not true. But I guess due to the conversation we were having was valid. Again, at the time, shout out to the one and only Chris Bubich. Where are you at tonight here in Seattle, Mariners, Tigers?
It's really, really tough, especially since, some of the Skubal's lines have moved. Yesterday, his props were at 8.5 with juice to the over. They have now moved up to 9.5 with juice to the under. frankly, as much as I believe in Skubal, 9.5 is a crazy line to bet into, especially after it has moved. So I would play the under 9.5. We got like an hour, whatever it is, to first pitch, a little over an hour. I'll probably end up using the FanDuel boost. It's a 30% any MLB bet boost to get it closer to even money and go under 9.5.
Looking for the under on Skubal K's. All right. Let me ask you this, Tom. Something that you and I spoke about at the start of the postseason. My bet on the AL East to win the World Series. The starting point of that was the AL East to win the American League. I knew I was going to have a team at the seat. Didn't know who it was going to be. Ends up the 1 seed in the Toronto Blue Jays. Who do you think would have a better chance at pulling off what I think would be booked as an upset? I think would be. But who do you think would have the better chance at pulling that off against Toronto in the next round?
The Mariners, easily. They have a significantly better pitching staff compared to the Blue Jays. And when we're going to have, and they are doing so this round without Brian Wu. So if they win tonight and they advance and Wu is able to come back, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, George Kirby, and Brian Wu, along with Luis Castillo, that is a 5-man rotation that only the Dodgers can touch at this point. So especially with Glasnow looking the way he is, Snell, Yamamoto, I don't know if they'll extend Roki, Sasaki coming in the bullpen, maybe just stays in that role. But at least those 3 starters from the Dodgers, the Blue Jays cannot touch that rotation.
So when it's really interesting because you invoking the Dodgers, if you were to say, who has a better chance to upset the Dodgers, the Mariners or the Tigers? I wholeheartedly agree, Seattle. Right?
Yeah.
What's interesting about Detroit, though, is the power of Skubal. Where, again, like Seattle, all this pitching, that's great. They're a dog again at home because Skubal's on the mound. Toronto has home field advantage. We've seen how dominant, Tom, they've been. Obviously, the 2 games against the Yankees, but even throughout the entire regular season. You're going to have to win up there. Man, I don't know if any of these Seattle pitchers can win up there. Skubal would be booked as a favorite against anyone in Toronto. I wonder if that's enough to swing it and make them feel more dangerous.
That's a great question. If we knew the answer to that, we wouldn't be sitting here because we'd be retired at this point. But yeah, Skubal is going to be booked as a favorite basically against anyone. It will be anyone against the Blue Jays if they were to win tonight. Against the Dodgers, I don't think he'll be booked as a favorite. To be really, really close to even money, especially if it's Snell. Just the public money going to the Dodgers side of things. They would never book them as a significant underdog just from a risk standpoint. But yeah, Skubal is going to, Skubal is going to be booked as a favorite everywhere except for the Dodgers, I think. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I think that is what makes it a very interesting potential next round. Let me just bring in Tom, because you and I have talked a lot about the Dodgers numbers, right? Yeah. And so at this point, it would be 2 years ago. There was a moment I was tempted to bet the Celtics to win the East. I didn't. I regretted it. That was the year they won the title and beat the Mavericks, right? Mm-hmm. I was tempted, to bet the Dodgers to win the World Series. I didn't. I don't regret it. They might, but to me, they were really up against it last night in Philadelphia, and I don't really care that the Dodger faithful will wholeheartedly disagree with this. I don't think they were winning in Philly. People they had Ohtani. I don't think that would have gone well at all, but they made it through. The Dodgers are now sitting plus 105. How open are you to the idea that someone else is going to win the World Series other than the Dodgers?
I mean, I'm very open to it. Again, if the Blue Jays, they would have home field over the Dodgers, right? If that World Series were to be in that spot, versus the Dodgers. And again, if any pitcher goes up there and they struggle, all you have to do is essentially navigate one road game, the Blue Jays navigate one road game against Glasnow or Snell or Yamamoto, whatever the order seems like. If they can navigate one road win, they are immediately in a great spot. And again, I will say that the pitching may still be in the favor of the Dodgers because Will Scherzer be back? Will Bassett be on the ALCS or World Series roster if they get that far? Those are the questions I have ultimately. But if you can navigate road wins as a Blue Jays backer, that's what you need.
Yeah, I think you're 100% spot on. Can I bring this? Because then Tom and I, we're going to probably get into a little NFL before we button this thing up. Ohtani? I mean, where are we at? He's batting 148 in this playoffs. And if you remember, first game, 2 home runs. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah, when he first started pitching, you made a brief comment. We had like a minor discussion, like, hey, when he's pitching, it's like, hey, let's look at the games that how he hits in the games that he's pitching, right? And it's a very real thing. It's just like, is the fatigue getting to him? That's a question. Is the fatigue getting to him on days because he's devoting so much to pitching, it's actually taking away from the hitting?
He's 1 for 18 in this series against the Phillies. Like, he has been, I'm not like, he struck out 9 of his 18 at-bats. He's Joey Gallo right now. Ooh. He's Joey Gallo. That might be a slight to Joey Gallo. I mean, but that's what this is. It's really bad. And, it's how the Dodgers are winning. It's like, okay, I guess we'll see. We'll talk to Tom about some of the action this weekend after the break on SportsGrid.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be...
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now. Because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off and he, in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, hey, I can get this team to the playoffs.
Listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure. And that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live on a Friday night yesterday, you had a Thursday night appetizer. Unfortunately, a little undercooked. That La Tech first half did not get there, which was a shame. But Chris and Sam have opted to hit the books tonight with a parlay at plus 237. Now, hand up. I wish this was altered down to 23.5 and 13.5. But they do what they want. They're in charge. So here is their Friday Night Light special. Harvard's team total in the first half, I have no idea how this is possible, is 24.5. And then, I mean, who is that on the other side there? Brown. What can Brown do for you over the 14.5 first half team total? Little Ivy League two-step. We're joined by Tom Vecchio here on this Friday night. Tom, it is great to have you with us as always. We weren't able to get to have you on the night we did target player props, as we often like to do, but we still have those target player props at our disposal. One that I'm really fascinated by is Derrick Henry's rush attempts. Since we're doing this on a Friday, we can actually get into now. They've opened these numbers a little bit here, where Derrick Henry's prop is checking in at around 15.5, 16.5 against the Rams. Last week finished with 15 carries in the massive blowout. Early read or expectations from King Henry in the matchup with LA?
I would want to say that they give the ball to him more solely as a bit of a preventative to keep the ball out of Stafford's hands. Like that seems like a almost a winning course for them, because allowing Stafford to slice apart this defense, which is absolutely horrible, could have him going for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns or something along those lines. So doing it as a form of control, like it's not like control, like, oh, hey, we're going to dominate this game, we're in control. It's like, hey, we're going to play scared and we're going to try and run the ball because we don't want Stafford to have it.
Yeah, I am tempted to bet it, though was hoping for perhaps a tick better price than what we're seeing. You've already made a few bets, Tom, for this weekend in the NFL?
Yeah, let's start off with Steph Diggs for a touchdown up at plus 170. You know, if you were watching Sunday night last week, he wanted to score so badly when he got tackled at the 4 or 5 yard line. He was pounding the turf. He leads the Pats in basically every conceivable reception or receiving category, obviously except for touchdowns, because he doesn't have any. And the tight end Hunter Henry leads them in red zone target share, but he leads them in target share. He leads them in yards after the catch, you name it. He didn't get to score against his former team. You want to buy into that narrative, so be it. But ultimately, when a player is this involved in the offense and he's being priced at plus 170, I'm always going to be interested, especially when he hasn't scored. Their running game is terrible. Ramondre Stevenson is horrible and should not be on the field at all. And just throw the ball to Steph Diggs against this terrible Saints defense.
Can I? Well, Ty, you want to rip through them all?
Yeah. After that, Justin Herbert over 254.5 passing yards. Kamani Vidal and Hassan Haskins are not viable options. I know the Dolphins are terrible when it comes to the rush defense, but if we look back to last year when J.K. Dobbins was on the Chargers and Hassan Haskins saw the primary role, he was only averaging about 39 yards per game. We know that the defense is still terrible. You have 3 viable receivers with Quincy Johnson. He is a little bit banged up. Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen. Throw the ball with Herbert. Forget about these backup running backs. And then Zach Charbonnet under 36.5 rushing yards. Ultimately, it's a split backfield with Ken Walker. Ken Walker is still the starter. The Jags defense is solid. I don't mind the points with Seattle. I do expect them to bounce back and win. And the Jags, they're allowing 68 rush yards per game opposing running backs. So we have a very difficult matchup and a player seeing half of the work, 40% of the work. I'll just take under on Charbonnet.
Yeah, I don't mind that, Tom. I just wanted to say, I was looking through some Pat stuff for this week myself. And you know this, I was doing all my underdog stuff too, right? So some of that fantasy brain, here's what I mean by that. I think a lot of the fantasy community is ready for Ramondre to be benched. He's fumbled. Just give Trevion the touches everybody wanted. Ramondre Stevenson has been better per touch than Trev so far this season. And I think that's one of the big things holding back Trevion Henderson. Like at some point, Tom, it will come, but I can't sit here and be like, oh, look at all the underlying stuff that says it should be Trevion. That doesn't exist right now.
Right, but some of that has to be obviously weighed against the touches that he does see are also very volatile because of the fumbles.
Yeah. No, again, I would also let Trevion Henderson play a little bit more if I were New England. And they will due to that Antonio Gibson injury. I am sure of it. Tom, great stuff as always. What's going on with the Eagles? We'll see if NFL insider Adam Kaplan has anything on that next.
keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be...
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now. Because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off, and he in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, hey, I can get this team to the playoffs.
You listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure. And that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
GameTime Decisions live with you on a Friday night, following any live action that is still to come. But yesterday we had a huge game in the NFL. NFC East, the Giants upset the Philadelphia Eagles 34-17. And we get to bring an NFL insider, Adam Kaplan, obviously very plugged into the Philadelphia area and this football team. So, Cap, there's a number of kind of avenues we can go here. I will just ask you what you're hearing and what you're seeing is the biggest problem for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles.
So there's this feeling, Kevin, right now around their offense that, first of all, the offensive line is a shell of what it once was. Starting left to right, you got Jordan Mailata, number 68, right? Not playing at his typically high level, right? It's not bad, but he's not playing at the level you expect. Landon Dickerson, he's out with ankle injury. He had a knee surgery, Kevin, right before the season started, the meniscus trim. He had a surgery after the Super Bowl. He has not looked right at all before he got hurt here with the ankle. It's a left ankle injury, by the way. And then Cam Jurgens admitted that after his back surgery, he's not quite all the way back. That's a problem. You've got Tyler Steen, who played tackle in college at Alabama. He is playing right guard, taking over for Mekhi Becton, who's now with the Chargers. And right tackle, Lane Johnson's elite. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. But he's just not quite like he normally is. So if you add it all up, their line's struggling. And here's something that I find incredible, Kevin. They're really not running the ball outside. It's mostly inside or inside zone plays. Teams are blowing it up. You saw after the first 2 carries that Barkley had, he was great. The Giants shut him down. That shouldn't happen. So they can't run the ball. Jalen Hurts is not a factor in the run game where he's usually really, really good. And passing it, they're wildly inconsistent. So they're going to take this mini bye. It's typically what happens, Kevin, with coaches is you might give your coaches off till Sunday or Monday. The players typically come back on Monday morning. You have a very light workout on Monday before you start your practice week on Wednesday. They just play at the Vikings and possibly Carson Wentz in Minneapolis. But if I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm going to be on my coaches a bit because they were woefully unprepared for that game. They everything. Coaches and players were not there. I know it was a short week, and they were beat up from the Denver game, which was their first loss of the season. But let's call it like it is. That was an embarrassing effort for a reigning Super Bowl champion. And right now, and the other thing is, Kevin, they can't depend on their defense. Their defense got taken to the woodshed. I was shocked. I've not seen any offensive line do that to the Eagles, and it's not like the Giants have a very good offensive line either.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that happen, right? Jalen Carter misses the full game. Quinyon Mitchell misses the full second half. And Philadelphia, as you said, was really run off the field. And look, I think there's combining factors. Short week, on the road, in division, things happen. But there are a lot of valid questions for Philadelphia. And one that I think is incredibly valid right now is just for the coaching staff in two parts. Cap, if you look across, people covering this league, predictability on the Eagles offense is right now something that is being zeroed in on. They're just running the same plays again and again and again. And then even Lane Johnson alluded to such a thing in the post-game press conference. I know it'll sound extreme, but is it on the board that Kevin Patullo has let go of his job as offensive coordinator in season?
Let me just put it to you this way. So Nick Sirianni is very close to Kevin Patullo. Kevin Patullo was with him in Indy. It's one of his best friends. They wanted to keep the continuity going rather than bring in yet another offensive coordinator from the outside. Remember, Kevin Patullo is the 6th offensive play caller in Jalen Hurts' career. We forgot Doug Peterson, right? Most people forgot that Doug Peterson was his first play caller in 2020.
Yeah.
They decided not to go out the organization like they did with Kellen Moore and bring yet another outside voice. No, they're 4-2, Kevin. Let's understand. As I've been telling people who've asked me, and because this is one of the nuggets I got from my training camp tour, is this is not a great year for 32 teams. There were no dominant teams. Like that was the feeling coming into the season. That certainly is the case right now. We call it the competitive balance or parity. So no one's going to be desperate here, but I expect Sirianni to find some answers over the weekend. But you're right. When Lane Johnson said, he talked about the predictability.
Yeah.
That doesn't bode well for their offense and Kevin Patullo. That he put that out there. And it's interesting because even Hurts talked about, he liked a couple weeks ago, said, hey, KP's being aggressive, Kevin Patullo. So the fact that players are talking outwardly, they're not hiding it. They want to be more aggressive. Eagles right now have absolutely zero identity. They don't know who they want to be. They'd like to be a running team, but they can't do it. And they can't rely on their passing game. So they're a team right now. And by the way, with Washington, plus about one, depending on which book you look at, 150 or plus 160. The Eagles are minus 120. I picked Washington to win that division. Remember, no one's won that division back-to-back since 2004. Washington with an unbelievable win at the Chargers last week. If the Commandos win this week over the Bears, they should. This division's going to be tied.
Yeah, and it's going to be a race. I think at minimum, it always seems to be a race, right, in the NFC East. I want to just get to one other point, though, Cap, which is A.J. Brown. Because here's the thing. Sometimes there are players who are scrutinized, and then there are players who bring every single bit of it on themselves. And number 11 has brought every single bit of this on himself. From his post-game conferences to his tweets to yesterday being asked about a meeting and then smiling. And there was, what meeting? I don't recall a meeting. And I know it was tongue-in-cheek. But I don't remember the last time A.J. Brown did something that was attempting to quiet the noise. And again, Cap, I ask you about the extreme situations because, people are curious, how bad can things go? There are people who've asked me, like, you think they could trade A.J. Brown? I imagine the answer to that is no, but I imagine for Philadelphia, they can't be happy that this is a constant talking point now for the entire season.
Yeah, let's put it this way. No, I do not expect them to trade A.J. Brown. They can make another Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
Show me a dominant team in the National Football League. Buffalo just lost at home to New England. There are no great teams this year. Your Eagles were dominant. They were elite last season. No one's dominant or elite. So now when we get to March, different story. If this continues and there's more consternation, absolutely being able to trade him in March is on the table. And by the way, he turns 29. One of the big reasons in my reporting back then that the Titans wanted to move A.J. Brown is the condition of his knees. I know that he hasn't missed much time in Philly. The knees seem to be okay, but you never want to wait till it's too late. And by the way, A.J. Brown's a pretty good teammate, but it's the body language sometimes. It's you're right on just the comments. It's not really needed when you're struggling on both sides of the football. That's not what they need right now. And you've got Kevin Patullo, although he was very out front. He complimented Kevin Patullo, but you got to watch Philly here. I'm glad we're talking about this tonight because I was not expected. To be honest with you, I didn't really want to talk about the Eagles before they played the Giants game. I thought this would be a blowout. It won't be close. We don't even need to touch on it. But you lose to the Giants and you get embarrassed, that's something you got to discuss.
Yeah, I think that absolutely is the case. There's a lot that we'll be able to get into Sunday, so then I'll just stay then in this game quickly here, Cap. On the Giants side of it, how close is Brian Daboll to saving his job? Because that is the story that they've put into this season, right? They've now had 2 wins and 3 Jackson Dart starts.
Understand something. Ownership really likes Brian Daboll, I'm told. They really don't want to fire him. Like, it's because you go to team to team. You could talk to certain people and you'll know when a guy is not really well liked. They really like him and Joe Shane. Obviously, the two know each other from their days in Buffalo. And the other thing is you don't want to do is when you just talked about it, when Dart is developing, you don't want to change offensive games again on him. But they got to win, man. And again, hardest in my grading system, hardest NFL schedule wasn't even close to start the season.
Yeah, so far they're starting to manage again, at least with Jackson Dart. NFL insider Adam Kaplan helping us out on a Friday night. He'll join us Sunday morning on Pro Football Today, where we'll get into all of the other questions that sit around the National Football League. We'll be right back with you after a quick break. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I can tell you right now, Jamar Chase is getting moved on a lot of teams. And I understand why. I mean, you don't have Joe Burrow coming back this year. It's just not happening. And then Jake Browning has been less than impressive. There's no doubt about that. So Jamar Chase is still an extraordinary talent, and I think buying him low is interesting. Why? Because if you do look, the schedule does get a little bit easier. The defense is still bad. Jake Browning has been productive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're O'Connell, you have a serious decision to make. Like, what is, again, he's been hurt now in back-to-back years, McCarthy.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have.
100%.
This is a similar situation to what the Niners did with Trey Lance. Like, if the guy can't stay on the field, and again, limited, you have to do what's best for the organization.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's start in the Atlantic, where the New York Knicks are minus 250 favorites to win the Atlantic Division. Philadelphia 76ers are plus 490. Boston 8-1. Toronto 13-1. Brooklyn 25-1. And it could be 250,000-1. They're not winning the division.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Busy night here on SportsGrid, Friday night special. Ivy League football's kicking off. We've got top 25 action coming to you with South Florida in just a little bit. Actually, a dog in that game, it looks like, against North Texas. Great slate this weekend. Let's stay focused on the college game with the help of legendary head coach Terry Bowden joining us here on SportsGrid. And, Coach, what a great weekend we're in store for here of college football.
Oh, it sure is. I focus so much on the South and the ACC, but the Big Ten is loaded with great games, and I'm looking forward to seeing them early and late. I'm in Auburn, Alabama, so I'll be watching that one oldest Southern rivalry right at the game coming tomorrow evening.
Yeah, since you're there, Coach, I might as well just begin quickly with a spot for Kirby's guys. It's a little more public information these days of, point spreads and what have you, where, who have they played, right? Tennessee very easily could have lost that game. Alabama at home, they lose that game. Kentucky, with respect to Stoops' group, it's not a good one this year. Auburn comes in. The line says, Coach, they are live to knock off the Bulldogs.
Well, and I'm a part of this. I've been a part of this game. In fact, 1997 was my last Georgia game. I was on the sideline at Auburn, and Kirby Smart was playing safety for Georgia in my last game that I saw. But this one playing at night in Auburn, there's a mystique about these two teams. It's the oldest rivalry in the South, and you got to watch out because you never know who's going to win. That's part of the reason why. And the fact that Auburn has played great defense, and they've lost to number 5 and number 6 by 6 and 7 points on the road without an offense. They had an off week. If they can get their offense rolling a little bit, just let the quarterback play manageable football. Don't make mistakes. Don't turn it over. Hit an open receiver. Don't take a sack. Without overdoing it. Auburn. Of course, I'm going to be wearing orange and blue tomorrow. I have to tell you all that. And I'm expecting Auburn to kick a field goal. Auburn to kick a walk-off field goal to win. But it's got the makings. This game always has the makings of a possible upset.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it play out. Let me stay then, the oldest rivalry, a new SEC rivalry, though a very long rivalry withstanding between Texas and OU. Everybody is trying to figure out what is going to go on with John Mateer. Coach, what do you think about this game, and how do the Texas coaches handle planning with such a big question mark looming over the matchup?
Well, I don't know that. I don't think you can do anything except they have to prepare for Mateer because if he does play, he's the better one. And they've got to play for the better quarterback. I think they can pull the win off if he's not playing. I don't give him as big a chance, and I would lean toward Oklahoma if he does play. I'm not sure. We were talking about college coaches aren't in tune with giving people good information on these injuries yet. The pros are much better. I think we college coaches will get better at it, but I have no idea whether probable means maybe or I'm not telling or I'm going to trick you or what in college football language. But my thinking is this, that Texas has to have a win here. If they were to get their third loss, I think they're out of the college football playoff. They're out of the conference championship. The season can win, but they can't get back to where anybody that's a Texas fan wants them to go. So if Mateer sits the bench and can't go, I've got Texas finding a way. If they'll just get Manning to play a clean game, hit the open receivers, don't throw a turnover, just manage the offense, they've got a good enough team to win. And Ohio and Oklahoma, if you look at their schedule, there's enough non-offensive teams to say they might have a few more leaks in that defense than it shows because they're the number one ranked total defense in the country. But they played some pretty mediocre teams on their schedule.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun one to find out. Let's get to one of those Big Ten games, Coach, that you referenced. Yeah. Top 10 matchup with Oregon and Indiana here. And both teams already have big wins on the season, which is nice heading into this game. But I think for either team, you know, kind of looking at what's happened, this would be their new biggest win if they're able to get it. What are you expecting out in Oregon?
This is a great football game. First of all, if anybody's ever been to Alson Field, that's a tough place to play. SC schools don't believe it because they think not big enough, but it's the loudest, craziest place. But I'll say this. This is not about whether either team, or especially Indiana, is a pretender versus a contender. They could lose this game, and I think they still make the playoffs. These are two contenders, two very good quarterbacks who lead or tops in the nation, two good running attacks, great defenses. But you know what? At bottom line, they're playing at home for Oregon, and that's, you give me 3 for that any day. And also, they got a little better quarterback, they got a little better talent, and they're a lot better at home. So give me Oregon in this one.
Let me ask you, Coach, just for Indiana, where it can't creep into the mindset that all they want to do is hang, because they should believe that this year they're better. But last year, Coach, right, for them, the big step-up game against Ohio State, they were smashed.
And
the game against Notre Dame, they weren't. That wasn't a competitive game. Like, even if they're not thinking it, is it okay for me to think that for Indiana, what really matters is that at the end of the 60 minutes, we're like, okay, that team hung. They belong in this conversation.
Yeah. Right. He's only been there this second year for Kurt Cignetti. They obviously are. I think they're better this year than last year. They weren't quite there last year. It shocked everybody, but when it got to Notre Dame, when it got to Ohio State, they couldn't compete with the elite championship level. They could get that far, but they're better this year. And what I'm saying is, yes, it's going to take a win over Oregon or a win over Ohio State to get over the hump, but I'm going to tell you, they are there. When they win 63-10 to Illinois, we don't say Illinois is terrible. Nobody said they're terrible at Illinois. They just got beat by 53 points by Indiana. So I'm saying is I think they are there. But if they can beat Oregon and they can beat Ohio State, then they're all the way there. They're the national championship favorite. So right now they're right on schedule. I think both coaches are dynamic. Their teams are very talented. Kurt Cignetti does a great job of recognizing talent in the portal, like an NFL coach. He was a recruiting coordinator for Nick Saban at Alabama before he got back in as a head coach. So like I say, I think these are two great coaches. It's just Oregon's got a better quarterback. They got better talent, and they are a better team at home, and that's the difference. But I don't think Indiana's going to not prove themselves if they can't knock off Oregon.
Here's what we're going to do. We're running up against a commercial here. We got so many big games. We're going to bring Coach Bowden back and talk about one coach with a big opportunity on his hands. We'll talk about that next.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first two football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be...
I know.
But that's where they're at right now. Because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off, and he, in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, hey, I can get this team to the playoffs.
Listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure. And that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live on a Friday night, Game Time decisions coming up in a couple of moments here. Ranked action with North Texas and South Florida. Taking under 68.5 in this game. This number keeps climbing. I think it's 69.5 has popped. I know there's talented offenses here. I think we see a little bit more running than the books do, and that South Florida defense has had some good moments this year. They're going to need another one to avoid an upset here against the Mean Green. We're talking college football with legendary head coach Terry Bowden. And Coach, we've gone through a lot of good ones so far. One game that is not ranked, but has a ranked team as an underdog is USC and Michigan. Again, the new Big Ten rivalries starting to emerge. Little chirping between Sharon Moore and Lincoln Riley about why the building is filled up for this one. I know there's going to be a lot of expectations for both of these coaches to get the job done in a big spot.
Yeah, I think in the USC, they're definitely ready. They're ready to go the rest of the way. When you go to USC as a head coach, they expect you to play for national championships. And right now, we just haven't seen them get that far. I just think Lincoln Riley needs to show they can play championship-level defense because wherever he's been, they put in a dynamic offense. They've had quarterbacks to go to the NFL, and they can score points. You got to play defense. Sometimes your quarterback ain't throwing strikes. Sometimes he's not hitting the edges of the plate, and you got to play great defense. I just think at times that doesn't happen. This is going to be a great challenge because right now, because Michigan, if they let their quarterback loose and let him play football, Michigan has another level of football they can play.
Yeah, I'm really the quarterbacks here, Coach, right? Mayavis had himself a great start. He looks like a Lincoln quarterback. Yeah. Sometimes – this guy just put Heisman first overall. They're all in the NFL. Mayava's starting to give you that feel. Bryce Underwood is supposed to be that as well. So it's going to be a really fun game to follow. I'll tell you, though, two quarterbacks, Coach, that got it going right now. Luke Altmaier, Julian Sayin. These guys are playing the position, I mean, at least statistically as well as anybody in the country here. But Ohio State's just playing the whole game overall at a different level. Maybe than everybody else right now. The defending champs are unbeaten. They're the number one ranked team in the country. What do you expect from them on the road here in Champaign?
Well, they are playing better than anyone. They are playing lights out defensively. They've got weapons at running back, wide receiver, and quarterback now that we watch on offense. Number one defense in the country, and they just stand out as the most talented, best team in the country, and that's the biggest thing you see about them. Now, Luke, the quarterback for Illinois, though, I think he's one of the best in the country. And Illinois is a funny team. You think of them as a running team, but they can throw that football. Now, I see Ohio State winning this game and covering in this game just because I think right now Ohio State is the team. They have the most complete football team, the most talented defense, and they score on offense as well. So, I mean, Illinois has got a good team. I think Illinois will run the ball and control. They will be close, but Ohio State's got too much talent. Ohio State pulls away and covers in the second half.
All right, I'm really excited to watch this one play out. You know, Coach, we have some live action on in the studio, and I think I just saw a team punt on third down. They just punted on a 3rd and 25, Coach. I don't know about that one.
Football there. You know, hey, if you're as old as I will, if you're as old as I am, then say punt and play defense. Punt and play. That hasn't been done in a long time, unless you're just trying to drop your quarterback back and quick punch your quarterback when you're on the +40. Sometimes that's done, but you don't see it very much. You can't score points if you hadn't got the ball in your hands. I know that much.
I mean, it's Harvard and Cornell. You'd think they'd maybe be on the cutting edge. Instead, it looks like leather helmets out there on this field. That is unimaginable.
They're smarter. They're smarter than we are, maybe too smart.
Yeah, it's smart for their own good. Coach, we appreciate it so much. Have a good time out there, Auburn, Georgia.
Thank you, man. War Eagle.
Yeah, there he goes, man. Legendary head coach, Coach Bowden. Always great to talk to Coach before these games. I got to tell you, though. I got to tell you, respectfully, I don't know if we're ever going to be sitting down with the legendary head coach of the Cornell football team. I mean, 3rd and 25, we're punting at a net gain of like 24 yards. I mean, Harvard is on the Cornell 39, like a play later. It's 7-0. Like, that can't possibly be what you think's. And then again, man, like, just run it. Just run the draw. Like, if the goal's to cover the 33 and a hook. this Cornell team might have something. I'm about to get in live on this group here. We're right back on Sports Grid. My, oh, my.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
Sports Grid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be?
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now, because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off, and he in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, "Hey, I can get this team to the playoffs."
You listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on Sports Grid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure. And that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on Sports Grid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on Sports Grid.
So Friday on Sports Grid, we're making it happen here with you on Game Time Decisions. I figure, you know what, let's get the people some best bets here. None of these games actually are starting for at least another 30 minutes, but you know what, you waited long enough. I figured we'll give you a bit of a taste here. Sam's got late night action on the college slate. That's going to be a Fresno State first half team total over 13.5. Chris is involved with the baseball Mariners money line there. A faded Tariq Skubal. I get it at the price. Kirby's still a pedigree pitcher. Don't mind it. I'm playing Tariq Skubal under 1.5 walks, minus 138. This was minus 150 earlier in the day, and I was actually going to play it then. Kind of waited on the way into the studio, dropped. Fine with me. Skubal's not, listen, does not walk a lot of guys, and this isn't the kind of game where you want to be extending pitch counts, because I'm sure in his mind the goal is go 9. Not 8, not 7, 9. So I think Skubal, who only walked one in the first start against Seattle, keeps that low. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually doesn't even walk a batter in this game. That's what the best bets look like on a Friday. Coming up now, ranked action in the college football board on the under 68.5 in South Florida, North Texas. But we are always still focused on the big dog, which is the National Football League, and the focus on a Sunday at 1 o'clock is led by none other than Mike Blewett. You can catch him on In-Game Live every Sunday, leading our coverage of those NFL slates. And Mike, we'll talk plenty about him. Got a feeling we'll probably talk a little about last night, too.
I'd imagine you want to dissect that yet again. I'm sure you've dissected it in your head time and time and time again. But as we talked about before I got on air, the reality is the Eagles have lost very few football games in the last 2 years. It's a little shocking to some that they've lost two games in 4 days. But I think there's other things that you can be more concerned about long term than just this blip on the radar of the record. I still think they're going to win the division. I still think they're one of the top teams in the NFL. The offense is not as prolific as it has been, so I think they're going to continue to address it. I'd probably be more concerned last night about the fact that the Giants were so consistently good on third down, 11 of 16 on third down. That's not typical for the Eagles. They're just much better at getting off the field on third. They were terrific at it last year, and last night they just weren't good at it. The Giants were able to extend drives in a way that the Eagles weren't, so that was unusual.
Yeah, I think for the Giants, give them the credit. They showed up. They took advantage of the moment. The Jalen Carter absences, the two that the Eagles have suffered this year, clearly matter a lot to this team. Their margin for error on that side of the ball is significantly less than last season. So when you compound that with a Quinyon Mitchell in-game injury, defensively, they just did not have many answers. But, Mike, as you know, so many questions about Philadelphia right now are on the offensive side of the football. This is a team whose Super Bowl price is now double the Super Bowl favorite, despite being the 4-2, team who won the Super Bowl last season. I think where I'm at with Philadelphia, I know a lot of people get caught up in Jalen Hurts debates. I'm one of them. And I know that they think this is an opportunity to try and bring it back up and see, aha, I told you so. I think those people are wildly missing the mark. And they should just relitigate the Nick Sirianni debates. Sirianni doesn't call the plays, isn't a defensive head coach. He's supposed to keep control of things. Things are out of control. They just are. The offensive coordinator that he handpicked is a disaster. That's what it is. And that's, to me, the conversations around Philadelphia right now, Mike. I don't think the conversations, you can tell me if you disagree, I don't think they're Jalen Hurts first. I think the conversations about this team right now are the coaching staff.
I think that's fair because you have there's a little unrest on strategy. Both wide receivers have complained either directly or cloaked in a cloaked manner about the number of touches that they get. And I think you're going to have that on teams where you have standout players that don't get the ball as much. There's not enough footballs to go around at times with the Eagles, which is a good problem to have, but can create other secondary or tertiary issues within the team. I think you're right to complain about that because I am on your side on Jalen Hurts. I think he's an incredible pro, and it doesn't mean he has to be the most talented player in the league to be a great quarterback, which he is. But there are things that he does much better than other quarterbacks, and some things that perhaps are a little bit of a hole in his game. And I think they start to become more obvious when you're not calling the plays to his strengths. I think that's what's happening a little bit right now. And they need to get back to some of the things that they're successful on in terms of Barkley not being as prolific as he was a year ago. I think in the long run, he'll be okay. But there is evidence historically with running backs that have the extreme number of touches he had a year ago not being quite as dominant the next season.
Yeah, that absolutely exists. And I think it's interesting how predictable it's starting to become, Mike, that these big seasons are followed by down seasons. McCaffrey, 2 years ago, big season. Last year, basically just didn't play football. And, this year, his groundwork is actually still shockingly bad. But, McCaffrey, the receiver, continues to thrive. I think for Philadelphia, though, because, again, right, can they win a Super Bowl? Will they win the division? Conference? These becomes the questions. The Saquon regression was expected. Saquon, though, now has only had 18 carries in his last 2 games.
Yeah.
Saquon had 18 carries at least in each of the first 4. Off a mini bye, I will, a lot of people, Mike, were swearing up and down, like, if he doesn't go off against the Giants, it's truly cooked. I was like, I don't know if I entirely agree. But off a mini bye, lowest workload he's had in a 2-week window, maybe a Landon Dickerson comes back. I think we have to see against a Minnesota team you're often better off running against than throwing against in week number 7. That certainly, I think, becomes a big thing to watch.
Yeah, and Shipley doesn't get any burn last night, and Dillon fumbles the ball. So
Tank Bigsby, whatever that trade was.
Yeah, that's right. So that's a mess. And I think they just need to keep things tight here for the next 2 weeks. They've got, like you said, a mini bye against a Vikings team that I think up and down they're more talented than. And then they get to play the Giants again. And now they've seen Dart. They've got to beat on what Scatabo can be for the Giants. He's if nothing else, a big energy boost for that team. And he's great in goal line situations. And then they have another bye. So the Eagles are going to have an opportunity to not have to play week after week after week before their bye. And I think you need to settle things in. Even if they dropped another game, 5-3 before the bye isn't a disaster. They just need to get it together. I think look, Super Bowl champions sometimes suffer fatigue, and maybe there's a little bit of that. But to your point, the train needs to stay on the tracks here, and all the sniping and all the blaming, and frankly, some of the discipline issues need to get fixed. They just have to get fixed, or they're gonna. The Nick Sirianni should be fired thing is gonna really heat up again. Oh, he can't control the team. It is unique, Kev. He's not an offensive guy or a defensive guy. You just had Terry Bowden on. That's what his father was at the end of his career at Florida State, except he was a man that was nearly 80 years old. Sirianni's a young coach, but doesn't seem to have a specialty on either side of the ball. He's a motivator. I don't know. His team's pretty great. So I don't know if they need all that motivation.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating one. I want to give people a quick update. We're going to have Mike here. We're going to talk through some of the Sunday action, but a quick WNBA update. Starting lineup for the Mercury came out. No Sammy Whitcomb. They're going to start Natasha Mack and Kalia Copper alongside Bonner Thomas and MAM, which is a pretty interesting move for this group there. I did play WNBA parlay tonight. A lot of you guys know rooting on the Aces to win this series, to collect on those futures. But there's a little bit of juice, I think, within this game. We'll get you that WNBA parlay and continue to talk with Mike Blewett after the break.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be...
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now. Because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off and he in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, hey, I can get this team to the playoffs.
You listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure. And that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. Game Time Decisions. I may or may not have just seen that LeBron is looking to pressure the Lakers again. Love it. Love it. Since we're on the subject of hoops, quickly, WNBA parlay. I actually think, so again, Aces close it out tonight. Fantastic. I feel very confident they will, of course, now win this series up 3-0. Aja Wilson getting closer and closer to cementing her status as the best to ever play in the W. But the Mercury are absolutely live tonight, despite missing Satu Samble. She missed 5, I believe it was, regular season games, 4 or 5 regular season games. They only lost one of those, including a home victory against the Lynx that Ifisha Collier played in. The one time they lost was at the Lynx, who, again, spent most of this season as the best team in the W. I played a little 3-leg special. There's a lot of boosts out there. Sammy Whitcomb for 10. She'll see uptick in minutes tonight. They're going to need her 3-point shooting. Alyssa Thomas for 10-plus assists. More shooters around her. Just the ball in her hands a little bit more often. And then a Mercury money line play. That's not a hedge on the Aces winning the title, but, you know, it goes hand in hand. We'd hope that if we lose that parlay, the losing leg is the money line of the Mercury, and you end this series tonight. We're still here on a Friday night with none other than Mike Blewett. You can catch him at 1 o'clock on Sunday, leading our coverage of the NFL slate. And, you know, Mike, at 1, the NFL kind of said, you get all the games, but just not the good ones. They decided they had to move the Bucs-Niners game back to 4 to give that slate a little life. I guess Jags-Seahawks is where you guys will have to really lock in, where a 4-1 Jags team, little college style here, catches themselves now a home underdog.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. You're right. Look, the slate sometimes doesn't seem to go your way on paper, but honestly, when it comes to betting live games, some things can be a lot more exciting than others. I don't think people expected Titans-Cardinals to be an exciting wagering game, but it ended up being very much so. I really do like that Seahawks-Jaguars game. It's a long trip for the Seahawks, and that could make it more difficult. When is the Jaguars' turnover luck going to run out? It certainly saved them again against the Chiefs, but they're playing really – I think Liam Cohen has done a much better job with Trevor Lawrence, and he's playing to the level that they need him to play. This is not a Trevor Lawrence for MVP type of segment, but he's playing well enough for them to win, and they're winning a lot of turnover battles. Well, look, we want to talk ourselves into it. This is the segment to do it.
Mike, do I have a free bet on that exact outcome preseason? You know it. I mean, so if you want to start that campaign, I'm not going to stop you.
Happy to do it. I'm your Huckleberry, Kev. Let's do it. But maybe let's wait until after he beats the Seahawks. I think it's a really interesting game.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the Seahawks only because I'm waiting for that Jaguars turnover luck to run out. But it's not as if they're playing terribly outside of the turnovers. They're playing good football, and I think the Seahawks are a really good team too. I think these are two playoff teams facing off against one another early in the season. That NFC West is a tough road, and the Jaguars' road got a little bit tougher too, obviously, with the Colts being a pretty good team this year. And that's not to mention Houston playing poorly, but able to rip off a couple of wins these last couple of weeks. So that South becomes a lot more competitive, and I think this is an important game for the Jaguars, but I'm going to lean towards the Seahawks.
Mike, speaking, though, of Houston, you guys, I'm sure were following just the onslaught that was that game against Baltimore. How, if at all, do you try and figure out, maybe you guys are set up better than anyone else, right? Rams, Ravens in game. Like, if Baltimore has life, cool, we've got opportunities. If it looks how the books think, Blake Corum props, here we come.
Yeah, I think that's true to an extent, but we're going to, what I was saying earlier today, I had the opportunity to be on with Craig Mish, and I repeat it again here. I think there's a couple of games that really jump out to you. By the way, that Seahawks-Jags game, I'm leaning towards an under in it. I do think the defenses step up in that game, and I don't know that Darnold and Lawrence are going to light it up. Remains to be seen, but I think that's more of a low-scoring, defensive-minded game. But you have the Steelers, who did not historically the type of team that you're willing to lay 5.5 with. But if Dylan Gabriel comes down the field early and they score 7-0, you're going to get an opportunity to bet the Steelers possibly under a field goal. Ditto with the Cardinals and the Colts. You don't feel great always about laying a touchdown, but and that's on either side, right? What if the Colts come down and score, pushes up to 10.5? I don't think the Cardinals are the type of team that are going to get blown out. They have an unbelievable loss the other day, but I think they're a pretty tough team. They've always played hard under Gannon, and I don't expect them to get blown out. And on the other side, if the Cardinals score early, maybe you get the Colts laying 4 and you like them at home, or laying 3.5. I think those are really interesting opportunities. It's why we love the show, and I think people, our viewers, have certainly really gravitated towards those shows, your show and our show over time. It's because we can bring different things to the table. Those passing props that you mentioned, Kev, those rushing props that are a little early, and a team catches the lead, you're like, all right, let's go rushing props here because they might be running out the clock in the second half.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and when you can kind of zero in, it's, it can be very profitable, and you do it with the help of Mike Blewett and Scott Wetzel on those Sundays here on SportsGrid at 1 o'clock. Mike, before we let you go, any quick Yankees pulse? Good, bad, all? Don't worry about it?
I wouldn't say don't worry about it, but we're in a vicious cycle because we find ourselves with these really good teams that just, or good to very good teams that just aren't good enough. The Blue Jays were better. There's not really a great explanation. People want Boone fired. Why? He's on the same page as the GM and the front office. The next guy will be too. It doesn't matter if it's Aaron Boone or someone else. They will be in lockstep with the front office. And I don't blame Aaron Boone for guys not hitting or pitching well. At some point, it's on the players, and I think this one is.
All right, it's a picks party after the break. We got a lot of them. It's all next.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be?
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now, because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off, and he in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, "Hey, I can get this team to the playoffs."
You listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure. And that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Let's make it happen here? We've got a couple of games live. What in the world is going on in the Ivy League? Only on Game Time Decisions would you hear that. Let's take a quick look. I legitimately don't know as I go to pull this up. It is it's a maybe and a probably not, huh? We've got Brown at nothing. 9 minutes left. Harvard at 14. 8 minutes left. It's not great. It's not great. But you know what? Hey, get him on the next one. And that's what we're trying to do with this under in North Texas, South Florida. There have been a couple of big plays that were very close to swinging this to a bang under. Byron Brown took a sack at the 35. That was going to lose 10 to 15 yards. Fumbled it. Set up great field position for North Texas. They went for a 4th and 1 at the 7. If they don't get that, that's an under. That's how these totals work. They got it. Next play, they're into the end zone for a touchdown. 7-0. Live total 68.5. Still think it's an under. Let's stick in the college world. GTD SU, Game Time Decisions. State University. Big one featured a couple of times. We'll get to that in a minute. Chris is going to rock with Alabama here. We've talked about this together and just kind of the value of -3 versus 2.5. He feels it could be close enough. Lay the 2.5 with Bama at -130 instead of those 3 or 3.5s that are out there in the market. I'm going to play the total in that game. You'll be able to find it on socials. We'll get to that when we get to that there. But I think there's, I think that's going to be a fun one to follow between Bama and Mizzou. Little Cyclone action here. I am like 65% sure this is a true story. I think I once was on an Iowa State game, might have been basketball, tweeted out a Baby Bash video, moving money like a cyclone. I think he liked it. But I'm like 65% sure of that. Sam's going to back Iowa State against Dion and the Buffs. AJ makes a decision in Texas, Oklahoma. Money line, Arch Manning with Texas. I said I was going to play that game. I tweeted it out to the people. Under the 45.5. I am not fully sold that John Mateer plays, and I'm willing to fade John Mateer if he does. I don't trust that he is okay after getting surgery 6 minutes ago, basically. I don't trust the backup in Hawkins, and I'm not sure what Arch is really supposed to do in this game. Oklahoma is the number 1 defense in college football. Opponent yards per play, 3.2. The next closest is Ohio State at 3.8. The gap between 1 and 2 is the gap between 2 and 14. I'm under 45.5. Oklahoma, Texas. Friday 5. Let's get after it here. The mystery man. We'll get there in a second. Justin Fields, I'm going back to him. I wonder if he just gets over this number every single game because it's a blowout. It doesn't matter. He passes. If they're up, he runs. Passing plus rushing, Justin Fields looked like he had no chance to get through a 241.5 last week, ended with 300. 227.5 against Denver. Don't care. Always going to be light. Chris, Zach Charbonnet, plus 135. Working against each other special. Beck had his under rush yards. Just wonder what it pays. Sam, involved in the game between the Rams and the Ravens. Blake Corum long rush over the 10.5. I like that look. AJ's going to lay it with the Rams at 7.5. Mystery man, 4.5. I was able to find out who the mystery man is. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm rooting that in. I found out who the mystery man is. I'll be honest with you, people. I've been thinking about betting the Dolphins this week. I'm not so sure that happens now. Shout out to the mystery man and that pick. The WNBA parlay, just to remind you, I am playing this. Slap one of those boosts on it if you would like. Mercury Moneyline, Sammy Whitcomb for 10-plus points, and Alyssa Thomas for 10-plus assists. The best bets, Scooball, under 1.5 walks, -138. Chris, Mariners, Moneyline, even money. Sammy Yar, now, Fresno State first half team total -118. Is it a night where we all win? What's that parlay pay? That would be a little bit of friendship, something to consider. Certainly something that I will be considering as we button up here on a delightful Friday night. Appreciate everybody who stopped by and made it possible. I'll see you Sunday for Pro Football Today. Up next, it is in-game live on a Friday right here on SportsGrid.
This event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy